everyone. It is Sunday, April 14th in beautiful Minneapolis, Minnesota today. We are going to be crossing the Stone Arch Bridge up ahead of us that we're looking at now. Today's the last day to make a full crossing of the bridge before there's going to be repairs on it for about 2 years. So I figured it would be a good time to go explore that, document what that looks like today, and we'll follow along the process as they go through and make structural repairs to the bridge and see what that looks like over the next few years. We're currently looking over at St. Anthony Falls. Absolutely beautiful flowing Mississippi River here in the center of Minneapolis. Looking north to the 3rd Avenue and Central Bridge, which will be the main crossing for the next few years. Let's go ahead and head out. Hopefully you all can hear me today. All right. So this is Energy Park here in central Minneapolis. I think if you're ever visiting the area, a very cool place to come out on. It is closed during the winter and when the river flow is really high. This can be a bit dangerous because of flooding, but beautiful spot to get over the St. Anthony Falls and see the Stone Arch Bridge, Minneapolis, the Mississippi River, etc. We're having a gorgeous day. I think about 80, one of the first warm days like this of the year so far. Had a couple nice ones, but probably the best we've had yet. I was just over at the bridge before I walked up here to start the stream, and it was packed. Many people out enjoying getting that one last full crossing in before they close it down for a couple years. Which begs the question, if they're closing the bridge down for a couple years, is it currently safe to cross? It's likely preventative maintenance, but always back of mind when you have these big, expensive, large projects. But it has been a couple weeks since I've been able to stream. I'm glad to be back. Thanks everybody tuning in so far. I think the last time I streamed it was 2 weeks ago or so, and we had that really big snowstorm in, I don't know if that's early April or March, but funny how quickly things can change around here.
So, past few beach things?
Go from getting a foot of snow in a day to absolutely perfect weather. Light breeze, 80 degrees. What more do you need? I guess the green to start coming in on the trees. Saw the other day someone was talking about they had visited Minneapolis for an interview for work, and said they weren't sure if they could take the job because it was just so dull and brown. But we have winter just ending. We haven't started, the trees start budding a little later here than some of the other places throughout the country just because we're so far north and it gets so cold in the winter. But really looking forward to those buds coming in the next, hopefully, week or so. And we're coming up on St. Anthony, Maine. It's where you step off to get to that Energy Center Park that we were just on. Do the quick turnaround so you can see. head towards the bridge.
I don't have anything to hide. No, there's a difference in having something. So at the time when I was planning, I was like,
Be interested to see, so one of the first really nice weekends of the year, and we have that bridge closing, so a lot of people are in the area for that. I'd be interested to see how crowded it was out here without the bridge closing tomorrow. Just because on a day like this, you're gonna expect to see a lot of people out regularly. I wonder what percent of people are just out here because it's that last chance. We got the lower trail here that I think you can go walk underneath the Stone Arch Bridge. I've actually never been down there. Maybe someday this summer, when it gets a little greener, we'll go down there and check it out. But today we'll focus on the bridge and then maybe something else. We currently have a planning, so a city planning, urban planners convention going on in Minneapolis. And I went on a bike ride. There was like a communal bike ride on Friday night with a bunch of those planners. And I was talking with a few of them about the Stone Arch Bridge and places to see in Minneapolis. And I think Stone Arch Bridge was pretty widely received as one of the nicest places to be in Minneapolis and one of the most recommended. So very unfortunate that that full crossing will be closed, and I was telling all of them to go check that out before we close that down for a short period of time here. Well, it seems like a long period of time, 2 years, but when we think of things big picture, that year and a half, 2 years, in the grand scheme of the world and life really isn't that big of a deal. But it'll be frustrating. Fortunately, because we like to look at the bright side of things, they will be keeping it at least partially open the entire time. So the first phase, which starts tomorrow, will be closing this side, the St. Anthony main side, for a little over a year. And then after that, they're going to be closing the downtown Minneapolis side. And you'll still be able to walk halfway through and see some of the views, but you can't do that wonderful full crossing and riding your bike across it that we love and enjoy now. Wonder what that means for there's oftentimes during the summer, right on the other side of this brand new pavilion that we're looking at, they just built these bathrooms in this pavilion, I think last 2 years or so, just completed that project. And I wonder what it'll mean for the food trucks that often park out there, where they'll be headed, if they'll try to take advantage of the people on St. Anthony, Maine, or if they'll look for other places. All right, let's cross the bridge. I think winter crossings of the bridge are really nice too. On a really nice snowy day, it can be really fun. But you love to see the crowds out on a day like today. feel like so often I make these videos and people are like, where is everybody? Where's everyone in Minneapolis? Why aren't people out? And now today we have so many people out. Why aren't we celebrating in the chat? Look at everyone. Trail close begins April 15th. As I nearly walk into a Lime scooter.
They're fun, but I just like them when I don't want to drive. And
So here's that lower bridge trail that we walked by a few minutes ago in St. Anthony, Maine. We'll head down there sometime this summer, probably when the bridge is closed, and take a look around. I don't know the exact point that they'll be closing it off. It says halfway through the bridge for each portion of it. But wherever that is, we'll definitely document it and take a look.
Go, take a photo of those two, and I want to take a photo of this.
Some of you may remember from about a year ago when we had gotten this really heavy snowfall, really heavy rain at the end of winter. There were historic levels of water flow over the St. Anthony Falls here. I think it was just about a year ago, late April last year. And that waterfall was just absolutely gushing. Yeah, if that's something you're interested in seeing, you can search back through the older videos on the channel about a year ago. See that St. Anthony Falls as it was flowing very heavily. There's the 35W bridge right here. One that fell down a little over a decade ago. Gotta get the photo with the dogs. Love to see it.
No, I know. I know, and I think it's a valid.
When I was first moving to Minnesota, I think I might have talked about this on the channel before, but I saw a photo of this bridge on a foggy morning, and all you could see was that kind of copper orange color of the bridge and couldn't see much beyond it. I was trying to convince people that it was the Golden Gate Bridge. Fooled a few.
Oh, sorry.
All good. Here is the St. Anthony Lock. Has been been closed for a few years now. I think maybe almost a decade actually. They shut it down. All good. A little about a year ago, I think I made a video walking around out on there, crossing that high part. Not my favorite. I'm not a huge fan of heights. Don't look down. There's the Mill Ruins and Mill City Museum, Mill City Apartments, as well as the Guthrie Theater. We're here in the Mill District. Hey, Richard Sena is in the chat. Hey, nice to see you. Thank you. Yeah, I did go to the City Nerd event. It was great. I had a really good time. I didn't get to meet him, but I went to the Q&A and we went on that City Nerd and Open Streets bike ride. I think there were someone said about 200 people on it, which was really fun. But yeah, really enjoyed that ride. I think after the ride they provided a meal. That was really cool. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he makes here in the city, because I heard him say he might be going to St. Paul this time when he's here, because I know he's here for that conference. But big fan of his work, enjoy his videos a lot. Really like that ride. All right, there is the Stone Arch Bridge. We will keep walking though. Maybe get another crossing in before the stream's over. We'll see. Just a quick moment here. I got to pause to take a look at a call here. Sorry about that. Hang tight. But yeah, the Q&A, sorry about that, thank you. But yeah, the Q&A was fun. Cool event. I think my most appreciated part of it was the ride and just getting out with everybody. I'll definitely try to do more of those communal rides here in the coming months in Minneapolis. I'm trying to find a way to best mount my phone for that, because I don't know if I want to put it on the handlebars and how jerky that would be as I turn back and forth on there. I want to find a way to be able to show some of those rides and kind of show some of the more bike lanes in the city and the bike infrastructure we have here. I want to do it in a way that is not going to make everybody who watches throw up, right? think City Nerd is today, Ray is doing a speech at, here's a great protected bike lane, I love this one, at that planning conference about urbanism and growing urbanist YouTube channels, which is kind of fun. Kind of wish I could have attended that one, but the cost to go to that planning conference was a bit prohibitive for someone who's not a planner by trade. Yeah, this is a brand new bike lane. I think we walked by here a couple times as it was getting built over the last year. So we've got the two-way bike lane, two-way car traffic, wide sidewalk. Bikes are protected and shielded from vehicular traffic by the parked cars, parallel parking. The parallel parking slows down traffic. I think great roadway here on 2nd Ave now. Works really well for everybody, handles the car traffic fine, can handle plenty of bike traffic, good for pedestrians. You're not too close to the bike lane. I think when we talk about building good infrastructure, this is exactly what I think of. Kind of ideal street right here if we had street side cafes, but hey, how much can I ask for? That is the one thing I wish there was a little bit more of in Minneapolis, was the street side outdoor dining. Like a stretch of downtown where you had lots of outdoor seating and little cafes to grab a coffee or whatever. But hey, we've got great infrastructure so far. I went to this screening of this film. I think it was called, oh my God, the name is escaping me. The something project. Shoot. It was at so it was put on by R Streets Minneapolis at Washburn Library in South Minneapolis. Wasn't the city project? And it was about multimodal transportation and the stories that certain people walking and cycling were sharing from their times throughout. I think it was heavily focused on New York City, Copenhagen, and Phoenix, Arizona. Richard Sanchez says, thanks for the update. Some of the planning stuff from the local gov I'm from is at the planning conference. Hopefully he can propagandize them. Yeah, lots of good stuff at the planning conference. I think, so when I was on that ride, I met two of the people who were like, you know, we just start chatting and they start saying that, oh, I'm a speaker at this conference, and they're doing these different tours and different things. And so they were talking about some of the different projects they're working on in their cities and really cool stuff. So hopefully whatever those planners from your city are learning over the weekend, they find valuable. And if what they are learning isn't valuable, they are not bringing the bad stuff back. Because one of the things I realized is that a lot of this stuff, we can see a city like Copenhagen or Amsterdam. We see these European cities where they found ways to make infrastructure work really well. But sometimes what we're trying out here in America, and in Minneapolis specifically, we'll see the way they structure a bike lane in one area or a different area, and they're kind of figuring it out as they go. It feels like at times. So as we find things that work really well, such as that street that we just walked by, that I hope that sort of thing gets taken with people to learn how to build an infrastructure that works well for everybody. But which I kind of was talking about with that, I think it was called the Streets Project. That might be it. But yeah, it was one of the big talking points was, you know, how we got to find a way to make streets safe for everybody. And obviously we prioritize cars, which oftentimes the most used form of transportation. but got to find a way to make it to where, you know, how long is this, you look ahead to the call signal we have here, how long is that walk signal going to be for? Minneapolis, they give us plenty of time, 22 seconds. I don't have to sprint to get across the street. How many 5-6 lane roads in America are there that you can cross that they give you 10-15 seconds to cross right there? Like these little details that you don't think about when you're in a car, because you're like, oh, it's just kind of slowing me down a few minutes or whatever. But when you're walking, when you walk those same streets, you realize, wow, I had to sprint across that one. And we have streets in Minneapolis that are like that. The presenters yesterday were talking about Olson Memorial Highway, which is a connection from some of the suburbs to Minneapolis. And I believe it's very important to welcome people from the suburbs into the city and build a city that prioritizes those of us that are within the city, but works for everybody. So we have those ways where people can get into the city, right? So they're using these wide roads, Olson Highway, I think it's 6 lanes to get to their jobs in downtown Minneapolis or North Loop, Northeast, whatever. But it's really important that while we're doing what we can to help those people get into their workplace, we are also keeping in mind that we got to keep everybody walking on those streets safe, because they were in both the film and the outreach they'd done in that area, they were saying that all these people had been affected by, you know, traffic violence or car accidents, getting hit by cars while walking or biking, and it's ends up being something that can be traumatic. I mean, I don't think there's a single driver out there that wants to hit somebody crossing the street. Like, I refuse to believe that people are that way. I mean, of course you're going to have an outlier, but a majority of drivers just want to get where they're going, and the majority of walkers just want to do that safely too. We're all just trying to enjoy life. Jamin says, are there any proposed renderings for the Stone Arch Bridge? I think they're going to try to keep it as structurally similar as possible, if I remember correctly. Definitely available on the City of Minneapolis website. I'm pretty sure a majority of it is just like repairing things that have deteriorated a bit over the years. But I do not know specifically off the top of my head. I will, when I'm done with this stream, come back and Google that and put it into the description of this video. So I'll make sure that that is available. So if you're watching back in the future, that that will be available in the description. But as far as I know, it's pretty much just repairing the structural integrity of it and making sure that it can exist for decades to come. I think last construction they did on it was about 30 years ago. It is 2:13. I think the Timberwolves basketball team is playing their last regular season game of the season. Let's walk over there, see what kind of crowds there are outside the stadium while that takes off. I think if I don't know what the scenarios are. I saw a tweet about it, and in one ear, out the other, but I think they can get the best record in the league if they win today and some other teams lose or something. I don't know. Here's the Downtown Cabaret, which used to be I believe, First National Bank building. I think some of the old bank lobby is still intact in there. I have never been into the cabaret, but I do want to see the inside of that building, so I don't know. Is there a way that I can just go in one day without that going on? I don't know. No disrespect to the profession of those in there.
I'm in there. I'm in there.
You want to be in it?
No.
No? Okay, let's keep you out of it then. Thank you. Yeah, sometimes you don't know. I see people looking at me like, is that guy looking at me like he wants to be noticed or wants to be left alone? Yeah. Jamin says, have you heard any updated news on the Uber and Lyft leaving the Twin Cities? Yes, so we do have an update on that. The city council has, I think unanimously, if I remember correctly, voted to delay the price increase for the drivers from May 1st, which is 3 weeks away, 15 days away, something like that. And they all voted to delay that until July 1st, if I remember correctly. Yeah, July 1st. And they said that that delay is to review data and to give the alternate companies time to get situated and get set up while they figure all that out. When they had that meeting where they voted to delay the price increase for the drivers, they also held a vote to change the pay from whatever it is, like I don't know if it was 148, I think it was, per minute or mile or something. And they voted to drop that to, there was a study that was released by the state, or released a study by the state on Uber and Lyft, and they studied all the wages of these drivers, and Uber, or the state, released this range, and the city council proposed the maximum amount of that range. Their current proposal is above the range, which I think they're trying to factor in how those employees, or contractors I should say, don't get paid time off, holiday pay, sick leave, health insurance, etc. So they're trying to go a little above what was put out to try to make up for the lack of benefits that those people get when they work those jobs. And so they went above that. And with this most recent vote, one of the proposals was to drop that down to the top of that range, which I think was $1.21 a mile and 50 cents a minute or something like that. And that one got voted down because some of the city council still wants it to be the full amount that they previously agreed on. Others say it should still be even less than that. So we'll see what becomes of that. There are 2 amendments to the proposal that they're working through right now. One of which is around pay transparency. So when you get one of those rides, you can see that you can see how much that driver is going to get paid each time. So if you pay $20 for a ride from here to whatever part of the city you're going to, you can see how much that driver got paid on each one, which I think is really valuable, because you hear so much about how these rideshare drivers get paid so little, or some others say they get paid so much, but when you can really give every rider that data think that's valuable in understanding, like, okay, do I feel comfortable with how much I'm paying for this and how much of a cut this person's getting out of it? So there's that, and then I think there's another amendment around data. So not data as in like the pay data, but in like the ridership data. But I'm not sure as educated on that second amendment to the law that they're, or the proposed second amendment to the thing that they're doing there. But we'll see. Very interesting stuff. I do believe that we live in a capitalist society that will figure something out, whether it is those two companies just raising prices, whether it is the city council negotiating to a middle ground price that they can all agree on, whether it's Uber and Lyft raising prices and putting it all on the consumer. But I think in some way there will be a change related to that. But we'll see. We got about another 2.5 months. Salem says, Salem Aleichem. Very beautiful city, Minneapolis. Thank you, bro. Hey, good to see you, Salem. Thank you for stopping in. I'm glad you are enjoying Minneapolis. As I am. All right, so we got the basketball stadium up here. I'll give a little foamer content. Is everybody familiar with the term foamer? So we got the blue line coming up this way, green line that's behind us. One train, two trains. You will see that the train that we just saw go by us only had 2 trains, but typically the trains used to have 3. They just dropped those down recently for a variety of reasons. They said that around security, and they're going to try to increase it from 15-minute intervals to 12-minute intervals in the summer. Yeah, there's the 2-train blue line train heading out of downtown, but the green line currently has 3 trains because of the basketball game going on. So after the game gets out, when it's going to be everybody heading out of downtown, I think they will pop those back up to 3 trains. But there has been some negative publicity around the middle car train on the trains, so they have made that change. I was speaking of the term foamer. Apparently it is people who are train obsessed who see these light rail, heavy rail transit in cities and foam at the mouth as they watch them go by, which I have been accused of being. So I thought that was kind of a funny term, and I can't deny it. I like the trains. What's wrong with liking trains? We're getting community input on First Ave North. I saw a few weeks ago they were doing that community input for the First Avenue changes, and they had these tables set out and we're getting people's comments on it. And it was, I think, like a cold, snowy day, and they did it in the Skyway right here above First Ave, which is kind of cool that you're assessing the changes to this project directly above the street where it's going to be changing. Oh, kind of a unique Minneapolis thing. I guess Skyways aren't unique to just Minneapolis, but one of the things that I think of when I think of Minneapolis. But I guess when we were in Atlanta a few weeks back, I saw a lot of Skyways down there too, so what do I know? Hello, WDZU. Hope you are having a great day. Beautiful day here in Minneapolis. We got the Timberwolves about to start their game. Target Field down there. We'll be out for a baseball game in a few days. I don't know when they play again, but I was looking at the schedule hoping to come out for one soon. Not to go to the game, but walk around for one. Just to take in the crowd. Repent.
The Bible, Lord God, tells us that salvation to be heaven is of the Lord Jesus Christ.
I was out here at First Ave for a concert a few weeks back, and they were celebrating, I think the year the Timberwolves started, and there was this big sign out here that said like 1989, and I think that's like a Taylor Swift thing too, so I thought it was like a Taylor Swift thing, and this guy got really mad at me. Whoa! All good. We love a good corner building, built to that angle of a block. But yeah, I saw this 1989 sign outside, and I was like, oh, is it like Taylor Swift night or something? And, you don't mention Taylor Swift. People really strong opinions about that. Here's First Ave. Sounds like someone is in there sound checking. It says Atomic Banana. Never heard of it. Oh, it sounds like they actually might be playing a concert right now. I hear a crowd. Laura Buckles says they saw a documentary on First Ave recently. Was that the, I think we have a walking tour for the planning conference over here. Yeah, there's a Twin Cities PBS documentary on First Ave. I think that's pretty interesting. There are the city planners out learning about Minneapolis. Back here at Hennepin Avenue, also, which was just recently reconstructed. I think one of the first videos I made was walking along Hennepin, and it was just torn to shreds. And they added these new bike lanes on each side as raids, so you're not riding in with the traffic. Really, really great stuff. Prioritizing, making sure the street works for everybody. I will say one of the key differences here is they removed all the street parking on Hennepin, so traffic can flow a little more freely, go a little bit faster. And doesn't feel as separate from the pedestrians. So I'm always afraid of stepping in front of people because as a biker, I got to be aware of pedestrians. As a pedestrian, got to be aware of bikers. I think a big part of being a good member of the traffic infrastructure of your city is just being aware of your surroundings and realizing that when you're in a car, you can be dangerous to everybody. When you're on your bike, you can be dangerous to pedestrians. When you're in pedestrians, people don't want to hit you, but you got to keep your head up, stay out of their way. Not that it's your fault if you get hit, but yeah. One of the facts that I was learning about yesterday, someone was saying that I think you are, when cars between 25 miles an hour up to 35 miles an hour, the difference in the likelihood of a traffic fatality with that is something like 7 times more likely to be fatal. So the difference between a car hitting a pedestrian when the car is going 25 miles an hour and going 35 miles is 7 times more likely to be fatal, which, wow, terrifying stuff. Just kind of makes you realize how big of an impact a few miles an hour can make, and how when we're in a rush to get somewhere or trying to speed through the streets, like what a difference a minor error on our part as a driver could be to someone just trying to same thing as we are, just hurry through their day, right? Excuse me. Oh, I gotta stay away from Nicollet Mall. So every time I walk on Nicollet, which like unfortunately, well fortunately and unfortunately, is like this really, if I make a video on Nicollet, tends to perform better than a lot of other parts of the city. People seem to be really interested in seeing Nicollet, but every time I walk around here, I get a copyright strike because they play music. And so, not that the only reason why I make these videos is to make a little bit of money that I make off of it, but like whoever is playing that music right now, if you can hear it in the background, I'm trying to get away from it. Whoever's playing that gets all of the streaming revenue from all the streams or views until I take that clip of audio out of the stream. So it's really frustrating. Not that it's, you know, a huge deal, because I think I make like $5 a month off of a video or something, but hey, it's a sandwich or two, right? Like, I love a good sandwich, so if we can make a couple sandwiches and you guys enjoy seeing Minneapolis and I can eat something tasty, we're all happy, right? But I think as I do more on Nicollet Mall in the future, I'll probably record more standalone videos, like the 4K 60 frame per second, and then edit out any audio that gets picked up by a copyright strike, and then post it after that. It's got the IDS Center, the tallest building in Minneapolis here, made by Philip Johnson. I believe Johnson and Berge, they were together at that point. And then the Cesar Pelli Wells Fargo Center. Right, a couple people in the chat there while I was kind of rambling. Let's see what we got here. WDZU says, do you go on the light rail? So I don't live on the light rail line. I live on a rapid transit line. And when I do take transit, I take one of 2 rapid transit lines. There's the Ron Tower, beautiful Art Deco building here in Minneapolis. One of the underrated structures in the city, I believe. But yeah, I do take the light rail whenever I can. I would love if there was a light rail line by my house. I think, light rail is fantastic. I think it is sad how small our light rail system in Minneapolis is. I think part of the reason why it's so poorly ridden and why the usage is so low is because we have two lines that you have to, sometimes it's just simpler and easier to just take a bus or BRT line somewhere than it is to take that light rail line. But yeah, I ride the light rail sometimes. If you have any questions about light rail, happy to chat about that. I've had a few people in the chat who had concerns around light rail and the safety on it, and I think those freak incidents do happen. I think there is unfortunately a bit of can be a bit dirty. People leave their trash on there at times, which is unacceptable. I've heard people talking about smoking on the light rail trains. I haven't seen that, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it, so it definitely happens. I don't ride enough to see it. I have seen it plenty on the platforms and unfortunately drug use on the platforms, but whole other conversation there. Richard Sarah says, I remember O the Urbanity saying that riding a bike is more like fast walking than slow driving. I think that's mostly true, which is why separation from car traffic is so important. Yeah, very true. I actually I have never watched O the Urbanity. I had that recommended to me recently, and I am excited to check out that channel more. I've seen it come up in my recommended videos and definitely want to see the stuff that they're putting out. Seen that one, and another one called Not Just Bikes, which I'm interested to see that stuff. Always excited to hear different perspectives from people and their different ideas on how cities work, what's the best way to build out a bike lane, what's the best way to build out your city infrastructure. There's the Cesar Pelli Wells Fargo Center. Kartama says it's very interesting that the C line sometimes use the much older articulated bus when all the other BRT, which is bus rapid transit lines, never use them. Yeah, I've never ridden the C line. I've ridden a couple of the other ones many times, but yeah, the different buses on there. I know we're working. They're doing a. Today they were doing a. I think it was a tour of some of the stops that the new Gold line is going to be on. And I think those are gonna have another different type of bus, but yeah, these specifics of like bus models and stuff, I am not quite there yet. I do research that stuff a little bit, but one of the things that I don't know a ton about, and you can tell when you're riding it, like, oh, this is an old bus, this is a new bus. This bus feels like what they have in Atlanta, or this train reminds me of the old BART train, or different things that you've had in different cities. But yeah, had a discussion with someone during that ride about 5th Street here and how we kept one car lane on here to allow vehicular traffic to continue to flow through the city. Oh, excuse me. To continue to flow through the city, and how this street could be a much better pedestrian and transit thoroughfare if we didn't have that, and how if we translated or swapped out this lane to a wider sidewalk. Because basically, if you know me in person, I am always talking about wanting, I think I've mentioned on this video a couple times already, those sidewalk cafe type areas where outdoor seating, people sitting outside, communal space. It's another 2 train. Another 2 train blue line right there. But yeah, I'm talking about the importance of having those spaces where there's just people hanging out, and how good it is for your community, where If you live here in the Sioux Line building, the beautiful Sioux Line building, you can come down from your apartment in this building that was retrofitted to apartments a little over a decade ago. You can come down and have a nice sidewalk cafe where you sit outside and you sip your cup of coffee and run into your neighbor, run into someone walking by. You can have a good chat with somebody, make a friend, build a community. One of the things that I miss the most about San Francisco and living in San Francisco, and that I love about downtowns and walkable areas, is the way you have those communal spaces where, well, this sidewalk here is great, you know, plenty wide. You can't ask for much wider than that, but like, it's like, I don't know if anybody's read the Jeff Speck book, what's it called? Walkable Cities, where he talks about there's the 4 elements of what's important in a city, or what's important in a walkable space. 1, it has to be safe. 2, has to be like, I'm spacing on it. There are 4 elements as a Jeff Speck's Walkable Cities, great book. And he talks about these 4 elements, and you know, it has to be safe, has to be welcoming, has to be accessible, and 4, there has to be a reason for people to be there. Like, this is fine, this is safe, there's places to sit, we could hang out here and chat with whoever right now, but what reason do I have to sit right here, right? Besides being on a cigarette break from being in one of these towers, you know, back when smoking was big and employees were big downtown. But there's these walkable spaces, you have to have a reason to be out in them, or else they end up looking like many downtowns do, which is like we're seeing right now, where you get the occasional straggler, but beautiful buildings, clean, plenty of space. But what am I going to do here, right? Besides wandering and exploring, which is fun, but I am an able-bodied person who can walk a few miles a day, run a few miles a day, bike a few miles a day with relative ease. If I don't have those abilities, if I, you know, am differently abled, disabled, if I'm older, if, you know, maybe I have an injury or whatever's going on, I don't have a reason to be here besides specifically going to and from a place. There's no reason to just hang out on the streets and be and exist somewhere. But it's hard because we're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which notoriously cold place. So do you build comfortable outdoor spaces that you can only use 6-7 months a year? Because I'm sure there are days that Spy House Coffee right here, which I've heard that is a wonderful coffee shop inside. I've heard great things about it. But you don't see everybody sitting outside. I'm sure it's packed inside, and there are days when there's everybody sitting inside having a nice coffee and enjoying time together. But when, oh, I'm jaywalking. When you don't see that, it just feels so vacant. So I think that's a difficult spot that Minneapolis is put in. Due to its natural conditions. Some blame the skyways. I think maybe skyways are a contributor, but I'm not as anti-skyway as the average Minnesotan urbanist. I think they could be a lot better, but I'm not a tear down the skyways person. So we're looking ahead to, on the right, this glass structure, the Wells Fargo Operations Center. We've talked about this one on the stream a handful of times. This is going to be demolished any day, I think. Hopefully before winter, but if not, it'll be next spring. They have plans to build a building that was once called Harmonia. Now it's going to be called Washington Yards. Shout out to a friend of the channel who used to live in this building. I remember we were walking one day and they asked me to show that one because they used to live in there. So if you're watching today, there's your old home. See the balconies up there? I love the balconies. Yeah. Not a ton of balconies in downtown Minneapolis. Guys, is going to be torn down into it and rebuilt into a mixed-use, multiple tower project. Mixed use is the way, in my opinion. You have the eating, drinking, communal space. You have the office and residential for the other needs. Really seems like a, I don't know, seems like a trick. Like we've built these, when we talk about city planning and talk about zoning and how all these different cities have these different spaces. Actually, Jeff Speck was included in that, the guy who wrote Walkable Cities was included in that documentary I was speaking of earlier, the Streets Project. And he was talking about zoning, and he made this good point about zoning, how so often zoning was, we would zone for commercial, and then across the street, you'd have a residential zone, and then you'd have a commercial zone, and then you have your industrial area. And all these different parts of the city are zoned for different things. And it was sort of like he referred to it as, you don't want your city to be zoned as this guy Jeff Speck is he said he was an art history major. And he goes, you don't want your city to be zoned like a Rothko. And the Mark Rothko, the famous massive paintings that are very large single individual colors, somewhat blended together, but the large squares of a Rothko painting or rectangles. And when you have your zones that are these big separate places, not everything's overlapping. There's no reason. He's like, the better setup is either mixed use, or he referred to it as like, you look at like Camilo Pissarro, or like a more impressionist or pointillist painter who's going to be doing the different dots, and every aspect of those paintings are created by many, many tiny little points, tiny little dots. And then as those dots all come together, they make this beautiful painting that so much more than any individual dot is. I thought that was a really good perspective on it for those who appreciate art out there. Yeah, this is so the sign up there is the old proposal, the Harmonia, which has been switched to now renamed. They have reworked it. It's called Washington Yards now. Here we are on Washington Avenue. Lots of new builds coming up along here. Definitely great residential spaces along this block. But it is a pretty, as you see, pretty fast street. But you have the protected lanes, which are great. Everybody's got their own space. The raised bike lane. Kaitama says, I prefer the Harmonia development. It was grand and totally beautiful, though I'm not entirely opposed to the far smaller and slimmed down Washington Yards. Yeah, I haven't looked too deeply into the two of them. I saw that it was renamed. I didn't look into too many details around the change. Unfortunate that it was slimmed down. Wonder if they felt that was due to a change in the demand expectations, because with housing costs falling down and their apartment rents falling down in the cities, or if they felt that it was due to the cost of building right now. Whereas, you know, when you planned something 2 years ago, you were in that extremely low interest rate climate, where now we're significantly higher, but nowhere near the levels that we were in the 70s, 80s, where you had those 15% rates that would be devastating right now. Is the old depot. Escaping the BOYT says, what's new in the city today? Well, the big news of the day. Let's let these guys go by. Boop, 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 boop. So the big news of the day is the Stone Arch Bridge, the icon of Minneapolis. One of the most beautiful places in the city. One of the best ways to cross the Mississippi River in Minneapolis. This historic bridge, the pedestrian zone in the city, is closing for renovations for 2 years starting tomorrow. The bad news is that you can't cross completely across the bridge. The good news is that they're going to be making structural repairs to make it safer and make it last for years to come. So for decades and decades, the future people enjoying Minneapolis can enjoy that bridge. And the other good news is that they will keep it partially open throughout the entire process so that we can still enjoy the views from the bridge, still walk out there. People visiting and living within Minneapolis can still enjoy that wonderful part of our city. And the other big exciting thing in the city, I think, is the basketball team. A lot of people are excited about the basketball team right now, the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's some timeline we exist in which they will be the best team in the NBA at the end of the day today and get to play more home games in the playoffs or something. I don't know. We'll see. We did see it earlier today, and we are headed back there right now. So I think it is currently 1:10 in the stream. I have no idea what the battery is at. If my battery is not dead, we will be back on the bridge in a matter of minutes. If it does die, I will be back on the bridge in a matter of minutes, walking across by myself. I don't know, am I by myself? If I'm streaming with people watching? I have no idea. Depends on how you look at it. I won't be by myself because there'll be hundreds of other people on the bridge, right? I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna head back to that bridge right now, though, to get one last crossing in. I wonder if they'll do any sort of like events around the basketball stadium for the when the basketball team's in the playoffs. Maybe we'll go to one of those, but I feel like that's something they're probably playing a lot of recorded music at, which makes it difficult to stream around. Oh, I guess in the other big thing that we are excited about in Minneapolis is that it is 80 degrees, I think, for the first time in 2024. Sunny, gorgeous, perfect. Nothing to complain about.
No, I think during summer this is better.
Yeah, here's the Stone Arch Bridge. Let's take one last cross. We always try to find the different perspectives, and while we can be frustrated that the bridge is going to be closed in some portions, there's, it's good that there will be efforts made to keep it accessible in some way during that time. When I was on that ride with all those people on Friday night, I was talking with people after the ride, and everybody was saying, oh my goodness, can you believe that car that was honking at us, and that car that was yelling at us, and a person that was screaming at us? I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. There's like 200 people riding bikes in the street. And it's easy to get fixated on that one person that screams at you or yells at you. But then I choose to focus on the like dozens of people on the side of the road that saw us going by and would pick their phone up and record the massive group and, what are you guys doing? What is this? And be interested and excited about it, because it's easy to focus on that person who wants to get you out of the way and is honking, get out of here, screaming at you, and they're all upset. But I feel like the people who are interested in what you're doing and excited about the different ways you're using the city and excited about a massive bike ride like that, those people, they deserve my attention a lot more than the angry person. And that's the way I try to approach those situations. Yeah. Glad to be here on the Stone Arch Bridge, getting one last crossing in. I think it closes at 5 a.m. tomorrow, but so if anybody's in Minneapolis wanting to get a couple crossings in, you can still do that before tomorrow. And this side, the area we're on right now, will still be open. So. This is the Mill Ruins Park down there. I've actually never walked down there either, so sometime this summer I will make plans to do a stream down there, explore different parts. My current priorities are the Stone Arch Bridge today. Hopefully soon getting out to the University of Minnesota campus area, Dinkytown, that kind of stuff. And then the blooms. We're gonna have some really nice blooms in the coming weeks when our trees start blossoming, but they only exist for a couple weeks, so hopefully seeing some of that. Laura Buckle says, are there usually this many people out walking the bridge, or is it just because it's closing? I would say we're probably about double the regular amount, but this is typically one of the most active places you'll find in Minneapolis. There's a trail here called the Heritage Trail that you cross here and go up to the Hennepin Avenue Bridge. Really nice little loop. But yeah, definitely about twice as crowded as you'd regularly see on a day like this, but not uncommon to see big crowds on the Stone Arch Bridge when there's stuff going on downtown. But many of these people are definitely here to get that last crossing in. Escaping the BOYT says, will there be a decent detour? Yes, so you have just opened in October, after 2 years of renovations on that bridge, is the 3rd Street and Central Avenue Bridge that we are looking at right now. That has protected bike and pedestrian lanes, so another nice place to cross. A little bit longer bridge, but yeah, you can cross there. You can cross a couple blocks up at the Hennepin Avenue Bridge. All sorts of different options. Yeah, plenty of options for full crossings. And then to the south not much until you get a little bit closer to the University of Minnesota campus. Tasha's Life in Fargo says, why is the bridge closing? So it's closing for structural repairs. So putting the two pieces together, I remember last year we had this historic water flow on the Mississippi River last April. And it was however many thousand gallons per minute. And the studies showed that the bridge would be damaged over a certain amount of gallons per minute. And we were like 20 million gallons per minute above that at that point. I don't know if the two are related, but it could just be, they could have been damaged during that, or it could be just that we're trying to stay ahead of it and trying to make sure that, you know, we just finished this infrastructure project on the 3rd Avenue Bridge. Now we're gonna work on this one to prevent what happened to that one from happening to this one. That is the Hennepin Avenue Bridge that unfortunately fell into the Mississippi River a little over a decade ago. That's preventative maintenance, structural repairs. You're looking at the St. Anthony Falls in Minneapolis. I remember a few years back, there was, when the river flow was pretty slow, somehow a jet ski got stuck on there. No idea how that happened, but I was walking across the bridge and looked over and there was a jet ski sitting on there, if I remember correctly. Or maybe I just saw a picture of it. I feel like I saw it when I was watching, but memory has a way of getting muddy. And there was a jet ski stuck on that falls part right there. I wonder if, so I'm sure that was covered by a periodical such as like City Pages or something like that. But as those places and as those news organizations online go under, we lose those articles. So if it was City Pages that did a write-up about the jet ski that was stuck on St. Anthony Falls, unfortunately that's gone. You have to go to Internet Archive or something to find it. And then sort of the same way, we have, Vox Media just made these large changes, and there's concerns over Vice and all these different writers who put all their work out and time and effort onto the internet, and what happens to those materials now? We'll see. We think of like the digital landscape as so permanent, but it's so easy for like what if tomorrow Google decided. So a big part of the reason why I make these videos is to like historically document what Minneapolis was like in April 14th, 2024. Like, there'll never be another today. We are taking part in history at every moment of our lives, and documenting what it was like today is, I think, kind of important to me. And I put these up here with the hope that they will exist within the future and be able to be seen years and decades to come, referenced for whatever reason. But when we think about it, if the execs at Google decide tomorrow that YouTube is costing them too much money, and for whatever reason it's no longer within their business model, it could all disappear one day. But we're not there yet, so. right, everybody. Well, I think that will about do it for me today. I've been streaming for nearly an hour and a half. Beautiful day here in Minneapolis. I hope you enjoyed the walk through the city and these final looks at the Stone Arch Bridge before it closes down partially for the next couple years. Thank you all for streaming along. Laura says, I hope that doesn't happen. YouTube is my window on the world. I agree. Like, I feel so strongly about the capabilities of YouTube and what it brings to so many of us, and whether it had to be a different platform that maybe costs money or what, but I believe, as I said earlier, I do believe that, you know, in a capitalist world, someone will find a way to make it work. Unfortunately, sometimes that means changing things in different situations. So if it comes down to, you know, going to a different platform. But I love the way that I can see when I get home right now, I can go see how things are in New York City today, or in Paris, or Atlanta, Georgia, or wherever I want to take a look at the world. I can get a view of that pretty much in real time, and I think it's pretty incredible, especially when you feel cooped up at times and all trapped in your home, trapped in your life, trapped in whatever's going on. Yeah, really great resource. But yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut out. Thank you everybody for tuning in today. Hope you all have a great weekend. Hopefully it'll be less than 2 weeks before I stream again. It was a couple weeks off, but hope to be back more, and I will see you all soon. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching.